good to tell. Because when you go Thank you so much. You're still listening to ZMBC Radio 4, your public service broadcaster. Now, good morning to you, Zambia, and our dear listeners out there. Welcome to a brand new episode of Ndalama Insights. I am your host. My name is Kachana Sinyani, and of course, stay glued to hear what we have for you on the show today. Last Friday, you may wish to be reminded that the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Situmbe Komsokotwane, presented the 2026 national budget to the nation. Now, you'll agree with me, those big speeches in Parliament can be filled with numbers and lots of jargon that make your head spin. But today, right here in studio, I am indeed going to help you understand those, big figures that were said out, but you need to let them, just be simplified. We are going to help you unpack it all. Our goal is simple to help you understand what this budget means for you, your family, as well as your business, and for your future too. We want to answer the questions on everyone's mind. Will life be more expensive? Will I find a job? Is there help for my business? What is the government planning with our taxes? Now, to help us do all this, we are this morning privileged to have in studio Miss Mukonki Mukonkela, who is CEO of Insight Partners, and of course, she's right here with me. Mukonki, a very warm welcome back to Ndalama Insights.
Good morning, Kachana. How are you?
I'm very well. How have you been?
Good, thanks.
All
Nice to
right.
see you. You're looking very nice.
Really? With the weight gain.
I like the yellow. I weight gain and weight gain.
I know, right? Mukonki, only, in all fairness, the past 5 years that you've known me,
You've tried, eh?
I have. I
Okay,
mean,
that's
credit where
you're
it's
doing
due.
well.
Thank you.
And
Thank
good
you
morning,
so
dear
much.
listeners.
All right, so that's Mukonki there, who is the CEO of Insight Partners. She is Miss Mukonki Mukonkela, who will be together the next 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the budget is huge, Mukonki.
Mm-hmm.
Over 253 billion kwacha.
Mm-hmm.
Where is all this money, going to come from? Let's talk about the revenue side, the source of these funds, these huge funds, the big figure
Yeah,
that we have.
that's a very good question. So the 2026 budget, Kachana, is themed consolidating economic and social gains towards a prosperous, resilient, and equitable Zambia. So from this theme, you can tell that government is trying to protect the achievements that they've made so far in terms of economic development and debt restructuring and the general economic performance. If you look at the 2025 budget, it was about ensuring that the economy can start moving and improving. And 2026 is about consolidating these gains that government has made. That's the theme and that's the focus for government. So we see that the budget for 2026 has gone up from 217 billion in 2025 to 253 billion in 2026. So that's the expected budget for 2026. And it's a very good question that you ask, where will all this money come from? So generally, government gets money from three main places, and this is clearly outlined in the budget. The first are taxes and fees. And we see that this makes up a big chunk of the budget. For the past 2 years, actually, if you look at the budget, a big chunk, over 80%, comes from our taxes and fees, which taxes include income tax, pay as you earn, value added tax, customs and excise duties, and all these other taxes. So that makes up over 80%, so 81.6% for 2026. And then the 4.8% is made up of grants. These donations or money that is given to us through different organizations, the World Bank, IMF, and others. So grants. And then we have the balance, which is borrowing. So borrowing is what makes up the total budget. And the difference is about 13.6%, which is going to be funded by borrowing. And if you look at the borrowing, there are actually two sources. There's local borrowing, which is our government securities, and then there's external borrowing, which is, I think, where the euro bonds come in. So basically, this is where the money comes from. So when you hear the budget, that is what it's about, really.
Great, thank you so much, Mukonki, for just breaking it down and simplifying it for the sake of a person that probably had all these questions to say, all these billions, where are they going to come from? Over 253 billion kwacha. Thanks a lot for unpacking it in that simple form like that.
Yeah.
And that leads us perfectly into the heart of the matter, the tax measures, Mukonki, and our listeners. This is where everyone feels the budget, most directly.
Yeah.
Let's go through them category by category, starting with the group that employs most Zambians, the small and medium businesses, the marketeers, the Kantemba owners. What's in the budget for all these?
Thank you, Kachana. So for government to finance or to get this money, the 253 billion through taxes, there are certain measures that are normally introduced during the course for the following year. So, but there are also some reliefs that are also given. And what we see for 2026 is that there's a little bit of relief that's been given to SMEs. So the turnover tax threshold, which used to be 1,000 kwacha a month, has been increased to 2,500 kwacha. This is the tax exempt threshold. So like if you used to make about 12,000 kwacha, you were required to not pay any turnover tax on that amount. That was the 1,000 kwacha. Now it's been increased to 2,500 kwacha, which translates to 30,000 kwacha. So that's the tax exempt threshold, which is a great relief for small businesses. And for artisanal miners, the threshold has been increased from 800,000 kwacha to 5 million kwacha. So this is, again, a very good relief for artisanal miners. And then thirdly, for small businesses, we see that the penalty for not paying turnover tax or paying turnover tax late has been reduced from 5% to 0.5%. Again, this is a huge relief for small businesses, particularly that we understand small businesses have cash flow constraints. They are struggling to, even just collect cash from their customers. And so reducing the penalty on late submission of turnover tax returns is a great relief for small businesses from 5% to a mere 0.5%. I think this is very commendable. So this is in general what the impact of the tax changes for small businesses is. Katana.
Thank you so much. In case you're just tuning in, this is the Ndalama Insights radio show for today, the 30th of September 2025, and I have the CEO herself in the studio to help us discuss these huge figures that were pronounced in the 2026 national budget by the Finance and National Planning Minister, Situmbe Komsokotwane, last week, Friday, on the 26th of September 2025. Now, Mukonki, this is very fantastic news that you have actually unpacked. So if you are a small vendor, your tax burden has just gotten lighter. Is that right, Mukonki? And that's direct relief, right?
Yes.
Now, what about for the rest of us, Mukonki, as consumers, you and I, fall in that category, just like many others. We've heard, we talk about taxes on imports and local products. Will the prices of goods in ShopRite, for example, Pep and other chain stores, or the local market go up or down? What exactly are you saying, Mukonki?
I like it when people look at the budget in that light. Will prices come down as a result of the changes?
Yes.
So this is really a mixed bag. So the government is trying to use tax policy here to protect and grow our local economies. If you look at imported products, they are more likely to be expensive, particularly dairy sector. So if you look at taxes on imported powdered milk, cheese, and yogurt, these have been increased. For example, the tax on some of these items has increased from 25% to 40%. I think this is the powdered milk. So you might find that these products become slightly expensive because they are imported, and this is to protect local industries and ensure that these local industries are able to grow. So you need to look at some imported products, processed meat, imported pasta, imported steel, that may be impacted because government is trying to grow local industries.
Thank you so much, Mukonki. So the message is buy Zambian milk, buy Zambian yogurt. It might mean short term, paying for lovers of certain imported cheeses, but the long term goal is to simply build a strong local dairy industry that creates, jobs from the farm to the factory. Is that correct?
That's very, very correct. That's correct. And then another thing is the assembly of motor vehicles in Zambia. I think these are electronic motor vehicles, so assembly of these parts. The government has removed import duties on parts needed to assemble tipper trucks, electric vehicles, tractors, and even motorcycles. So in future, we hope to see that these motor vehicles that are going to be assembled in Zambia are going to be cheaper for us. So it's going to be cheaper for us to get electronic vehicles, tractors for agriculture, motorcycles. We've seen a lot of drivers that are doing deliveries with motorcycles. So I'm hoping that this incentive to reduce the import duties on the parts that are needed to assemble these vehicles is going to make it cheaper for us Zambians to buy these vehicles, and to enable us to grow our businesses as a result. So that's another plus.
Thank you so much, Mukonki. So this is very interesting. Now let's talk about two very specific and noticeable changes. The first is plastic. The minister announced a massive increase in tax on single-use plastics.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Unpack it.
So the plastic ones was very interesting, but I think it's okay. It's understandable because we're looking at, this is like an environmental tax.
Yes.
So the excise duty on thin single-use plastics, the ones that choke our drains and litter our environment, has been increased from 30% to 100%. That's more than doubling the tax. And the intention really is to discourage use of these plastic bags.
Okay.
And the government is hoping that this will make alternative usages of other reusable plastic carriers and containers. So you've seen it's going to be doubled, and I think it's really just to discourage use of plastic bags. So that's what's been done there.
Great. So now it's a bold move for the environment for sure, really. Yeah. So the other very noticeable change is on mobile money transactions. The levy has been increased across the board. For many Zambians, mobile money is indeed like a bank. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
You could be too. So what's the impact of this, Mukonki?
So when I was listening to I think this is what caught me the most attention, aside from everything else. When it came to mobile money, where we see that the levies have essentially been doubled, and we also see that government is trying to expand the tax bracket, or to tax, because the minister kept saying that they've formalized the workers and businesses are the ones that are normally taxed. So how do we expand taxes to the informal sector? And so he mentioned mobile money as a way to target the informal sector, because these informal sector individuals and people normally use mobile money transactions for transfers and all of that. So as he said this, my thought was really, isn't this going to result in double taxation? For example, I may have gotten my salary and I paid pay as you earn, and then I'm just sending money to the village to my mother, and then I'm taxed. Or I don't know whether my mother was going to be taxed, so it's not really clear at the moment. Won't that result into double taxation? So I see this really as a regressive tax. And then the other thing is, government has been aspiring to ensure financial inclusion. Now, targeting mobile money, I think, is going to send a wrong signal, because people are going to be discouraged from using mobile money as a result of the tax measures that government is trying to undertake here. And so this is quite a contagious measure. I don't know what
Mhm.
others think about this, but it's pretty interesting. It's very bold indeed,
Mhm.
because it goes against the government's intention of ensuring financial inclusion by individuals living in peri-urban areas and rural areas. And
Mhm.
so we're going to see how this is going to unfold, really. But
Mhm.
it's a very interesting measure that got my eyes popping when I heard this.
All
Yeah.
right. So we've actually talked about so many things
Hmm.
already. All right. The most interesting among others about the plastic and whatnot.
Hmm.
But of course, there's also another critical point.
Hmm.
All right. While the government is giving relief to small businesses on one side,
Hmm.
it's adding a cost, to digital transactions for everyone on the other
Hmm.
hand. Now, what about uh, sin taxes
Yes, sin
on
taxes.
beer, cigarettes, and now even betting?
Yes,
Kandeke.
we have sin taxes. These are referred to as sin taxes. Taxes on betting, alcohol,
Uh-huh.
and firearms. So this year the focus has been on betting and firearms. We see a new 30% excise duty has been introduced on firearms and ammunition. And so this is an area that government has decided to focus on this year.
Mhm.
Yeah. So these are the sin taxes.
Okay.
You didn't know them?
This is very interesting.
I hope it's like for alcohol. I hope it's to discourage Zambians from drinking, because I know most Zambians enjoy their alcohol, right?
Chakumwa. They
Mm-hmm.
love chakumwa. All right. So we've actually talked about where the money is coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now let's talk about where the money is going.
Mm.
How does the government plan to spend this 253 billion kwacha? Let's start with the biggest elephant in the room, date.
Mm-hmm.
We hear so much about it.
Yeah. So in the speech, another thing that caught my attention, because I normally talk about government bonds,
Mm-hmm.
government securities.
Yes.
And I was trying to see what's happening, since we've been seeing the coupon rates going up, with the withholding tax has increased. So Minister of Finance mentioned that a huge chunk of the 2026 budget is going to general public services. And amongst these general public services is servicing of debt. And we see that from that servicing of debt, about 52 billion is going to paying interest on domestic debt. This is our government securities, our treasury bills and government bonds. And then 21.7 billion is going towards paying external debt, which is the money we owe in dollars. So if you look at general public services, a huge chunk of the budget is going to financing the repayment of government securities. And Minister actually said a lot of government bonds are maturing in 2026, and that's why there's been an increase in the allocation of this item on the budget. But for me, who talks about bonds really, and I've seen what's been happening in the bond market, this further confirmed to me my feelings about why the withholding tax was increased, about why we've been seeing the coupon rates coming down. So there's quite a lot that is going around that I'm thinking, and I want to consolidate into another program, but basically touched on this point in terms of where a huge chunk of the budget is going to be spent. So it's financing of debt.
Great. Our time
Hmm.
doesn't seem to be on our side.
Yes.
I'll quickly ask you to just, talk about that staggering
Yeah.
figure. It
So
really puts into perspective why the government is so keen on raising revenue, why
yeah.
sometimes we don't see as much development as we would like. A huge portion of our taxes, is going to paying back, old loans.
Yeah. So let me quickly, I know that we've run out of time. Let me quickly mention CDF, which is
Mhm.
another thing that people talk about.
Yeah.
So we've seen an increase in CDF from 5.6 billion to 6.2 billion. Per constituency, we've got about 156 constituencies. Per constituency, they'll be getting 40 million per constituency. So that's really good. Also, social cash protection for the vulnerable has also been increased. We've seen the usual agriculture allocation to the farmer input support program, which has also increased, and quite a number of interesting areas. As I conclude, one thing that immediately after the budget I received questions on was the pay as you earn. There's been no mention of pay as you earn. What is happening?
Mm, mm,
So I don't know if you noticed that, Kachana. So yes, there was no mention of pay as you earn,
mhm.
and I think partly one reason we look forward to pay as you earn is the exempt threshold.
Yeah.
We hope that it can be increased, but there's been no mention of that. Well, for others also, government has just maintained the pay as you earn so as not to burden the formerly employed individuals. So it's actually relative. It's quite okay considering that inflation is also coming down. Inflation right now stands at 12.7%. So it's trying to balance, not overtaxing the already formerly employed and balancing that out with the gains that have been made in terms of reducing inflation. And so, yes, a lot of people are not happy with this, the fact that the minimum taxable amount hasn't been zero taxed amount hasn't been increased, or tax exempt amount hasn't been increased, and it's been a little bit disheartening, but it's better than increasing the taxes for other tax brackets. So yeah, that's
Great.
the budget for 2026.
Thank you so much, Mukonki, for unpacking it and, of course, helping us know, what all these figures are all about, where the money is coming from, where it will be going. It's been an interesting session for today. I hope that our listeners did learn something. Somebody was calling, but our time is up. In case somebody wants to find out more, do you have a page where somebody can come and pick up this conversation?
Absolutely. Let's have this conversation in our Telegram group. You can find the link to this video. If you go to YouTube, you find a recorded version of this video, and there will be a link to the Telegram group. We can continue this discussion either on YouTube or on Telegram. How does the 2020, how is it going to affect your pocket or your wallet? It's mixed feelings, really. This budget is just about balancing and, as Minister said, consolidating the progress that's been made.
Okay, it's been awesome talking to you.
Thank you so much, Kachana. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for coming. That's Ms. Mukonki Mukonkela, the CEO for the Ndalama Insights. And of course, today's program has been